Two short tips today to avoid burnout in game development. I've been making games for 22 years, very happily, consistently throughout. And the first thing is going to be pretty obvious given my channel theme recently, but that is basically to stop trying to do everything yourself. This is something which tears us apart because it means that we are having to switch hats too often. It means it takes too long. It means that we are spending a year and a half to do what a team of people, even inexperienced people, could easily pull off in 2 or 3 months. Sometimes people make the mistake of thinking that they have supported themselves with a team, when in reality, if they're trying to micromanage people, if they're stressing themselves about trying to get down to the details of guiding everything about how somebody else is working, really, it's kind of an extension of that person. If you're actually doing teamwork correctly, you are incorporating their vision into it, you are listening to each other, everyone's got kind of a say in what's going on, everyone's got autonomy in what they're doing. So that's the first point. Find yourself a team. It's obviously part of why I created GameDev Club. There's other ways to find teams out there. Obviously, we didn't invent teams. We've got to pick a way to do it. Second point, though, and this is one that I think is equally important and part of why I've been, like I say, happily making games for 22 years, consistently 4 or 5 releases every single one of those years or more. And that is to make sure that you are making things that you want to make because you want to make them. And this one's tricky because that doesn't necessarily align with what the market will currently pay for, what's currently fundable, the degree to which polish is necessary to deliver something to an audience of strangers, and so on. And so this is why, even when I have had day jobs in large company games, small company games, startup games, web games, mobile games, advertising games, research games, teaching about games in university and elsewhere, teaching summer camps about games and whatever, all that stuff, on the side, outside of it, I was still making my own games, doing my own things with teams, but still finding to make sure that there was always an outlet for me to make the thing that I felt like making the way I wanted to make it. And about how much more that's energized me and the people on my team when we're able to pick parts of projects and pick entire projects based on what we feel like doing, based on stretching the skills that we want to improve, based on adding to our personal artistic portfolios, not even career portfolios. Because again, I'm talking, obviously, I've for a while now not been concerned about what's in my portfolio to find me work somewhere, but simply in our personal background. Like someone, for example, might have on a DeviantArt of just showing, look at these things I've created, and being able to establish some sort of sense of self and identity. And I made this the way I did because that's how I wanted it to be. And that does so much in terms of helping us enjoy it. It's oftentimes when people are getting into the idea of making games, it's really where their headspace is at, right? It's very rarely is someone super stoked, could be wrong, about, I can't wait to go be a small part of some enormous project where I have very little say over the matter of what's going on. Usually what's happening is we want to make our games. We want to tell our stories. We want to reflect ourselves in what we do. We want to show off our strengths. We want to work on our weaknesses. We want to build things we feel like making. And that, again, is why I structure the stuff that I do the way I do in GameDev Club. But obviously, again, there's many other ways out there people are making games they feel like making, including if it's on the side of while they have some other day job in or out of games. And so that's my 2 tips for avoiding burnout, for making games longer, for maintaining a happy, chipper attitude about this creative industry, which part of what has also been such a pillar and guiding point in my work has been seeing games, unfortunately, tear some people up, really take a toll on people in terms of, sounds rough, it's true, dream crushing or otherwise, from people who kind of got into it trying to do everything alone and lost touch of the importance of making some things, even if they're smaller, even if they're less fancy, even if less polished, even if they are not pretty, even if no one plays them, doesn't matter, making some things because it's how they want it to work, because it's fun, because they like doing it, because that's where kind of a lot of the joy is wrapped up in. And I made this point the other day in meeting. I think it was kind of a weird one. At least our host Star thought it was an odd one. That it's okay to make a game because it's going to be fun to build. Even if, who cares, it's not fun to play. Now, as long as you're not investing a bunch of money into it, as long as you're not putting your career on hold to do, as long as you're not burning through savings and all that, or counting on it to keep a company running another year. If you're just building a game on the side and doing it for fun and for kicks, it can be like when you have a model train set and you're building that model train set, it's fun to build. It's not about an audience. It's not going to carry cargo and passengers. It's a model train set. But it can be fun to build things and really satisfying to have the parts come together. And to just decide that here's a thing that seems like fun, fun to build. Thing I want to learn how to do. Nothing wrong with doing that. Again, as long as you're making sure you're keeping an outlet in your life, no matter what else is going on, no matter how else industry changes, no matter how else markets and demographics and platforms and all that change, that you're continuing to make some games too that you feel like making. And like tip 1 said, probably with a team, because life is better in co-op.